We're recording.
Okay, we're calling this meeting to order. It is 7:06 p.m. If you have just joined us, we want to make sure everybody keeps your video off during the meeting, except for the Board of Trustees or any of our guest speakers. If Rex is there, he certainly is can join by video as well, since management normally does, but that's up to him. Chaz Cross, our president, is not able to be with us here tonight. He is excused, and I'll be running the meeting tonight. Mary Beth Fisher. I've not run a meeting before, so I appreciate any patience, and if I need assistance, I'll appreciate that as well. So we'll go ahead and get started. The motion was sent out, or the agenda was set out to everybody earlier. Can I get a motion to adopt our agenda?
So moved.
I don't know who said that.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Cabot made the motion. Any second?
I'll second.
Okay, Hodge, second.
Mary Beth, before we move to approve that, I noticed that the agenda actually stated the date as being January 21st, 2022, and it's actually January 18th, January 2022, so.
Okay, so I guess we really need a motion to amend the agenda to January 18th, 2022. Anybody want to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Annie made the motion. Lonzinger, second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, so the agenda has been adopted. Now for the president's report, I did receive a president's report from Chaz, and I'm going to go ahead and convey that. It seems like 2021 went out like a lion and 2022 came in like a lion. Like many of our members, our Hideaway Hills staff and employees have felt the wrath of the virus, and as a result, we made the decision to shut down the lodge and clubhouse the week between Christmas and the New Year. The safety of our members and employees is of utmost importance when it comes to closing our amenities, and we don't take that decision lightly. We evaluate each situation as it comes to us, and although probably not perfect, make decisions as quickly and accurately as we can. We have exciting plans to look forward to this year in our community, like a new security gate system, updates to the lodge, opening a new fitness center, and hopefully using new technology to keep members better informed and make it easier to pay dues online and call in visitors. We have a new food services manager, Serena Craig, who will oversee front of house operations at both the clubhouse and the lodge. Please stop by and meet Serena. I'm pleased to announce that Rex Eberly was appointed chair of the management committee, Steve Cundiff as vice chair, and Julie Evans as a committee member. They'll all do a great job for our club. We were all very sorry to learn that Jeff Harper will be leaving us as GM in March, and we wish him and his family well. We're in the process of recruiting a new GM. I know February can seem like an endless month, but it won't be long before we see boats on the lakes, players on the courts, golfers on the course, and swimmers in the pool. We have a lot of positive things to look forward to this year. We also have a carryover item from 2021 that will finally come to an end on February 20th. Membership will vote whether to retain or remove 2 of our board members. The final decision will be made by a majority vote of members. Regardless of what side of the fence you might be on, please make sure whatever information you use to make your decision comes from a reliable source. It is important your voice be heard.
Whatever the outcome, which would impose national standards on the country's elections.
Whatever the outcome in February, I hope we can close this book and start moving forward together to enjoy the community we all love. Chaz Cross, President. Okay, so a review of the November board minutes, which was our last meeting. I'm going to hand that over to Linda Hodge.
I think everybody got a copy of the minutes.
I would move, since I wrote them, I would move that we accept the November board minutes.
Any second?
I'll
Second,
second.
I heard Lonzinger. I'm not sure who else. I'll say Lonzinger. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so those are approved. Now on to correspondence. Linda Hodge.
Yeah, I will do a lousy job tonight of getting people's names correctly because none of them are easy. We have one letter from, and correct me if you know this member, Terry McAtee, MCATEE. Nobody knows how to, okay, well, that's as close as I'm going to get. McAtee. And he requested this letter be read. In 2009, our family purchased a home on Zuni Lane. I was lucky enough to meet Jim Hiles in 2010 and heard about the range and his hope for improvements. Since then, my family and friends have spent many weekends shooting at the range. Jim has helped to train and inspire our family members to become interested and invested in shooting and learning the safety measures needed to get our CCWs, plus protective handgun and long gun skills. Jim regularly demonstrates great patience with my wife, granddaughters, daughter-in-laws, and friends, as he has provided their first introduction to handguns and recoil management. Jim is more invested in safety practices than I find at many ranges I visit throughout my travels. Jim has been truly invested in the development of the range, safety practices, and range officer training. My family and I will always be thankful to Jim for the skills and confidence he has helped to develop. I have great confidence in our family's ability to protect ourselves and our property, thanks to Jim. Thanks to the board for funding this amenity and having faith in Jim Hiles over the years to continue as a leader in developing member skills while making it fun and informative. Respectfully submitted by Terry McAtee and family.
Is there more?
That's all. Sorry. The end.
Okay. All right. So treasurer's report, Cabot Ray. Can't hear you, Cabot.
That makes a difference every time. 19 full committees, 8 subcommittees. We began the month at $159,399.52. This is December we're talking about, and we finished the month at $162,890.82. A lot of positive activity going on with all these committees, some really well-led committees. All of them are really, but I did want to throw a special shout out to our health and wellness folks there. Joe Williams, Julie Evans, John Wintrick, Chris Keller, Greg Gossett, Tom Matthews, John Sapp. I probably missed somebody, but bottom line is that place is coming together. It looks great, and it's going to be a wonderful additional amenity here in the next few months. So with that, I would like to seek approval of the committee report for December 2021.
Are you making a motion?
That's what we call that, yes.
Okay. Any second?
Excuse me, Cabot, you said 2021.
Hello?
It's
Yes, Tim, what?
2022?
Oh, I said 2021, December. This is for December 2021.
Okay, sorry.
Tim, you're actually signed in twice, which is why we're getting an echo when you speak.
Okay, I'm afraid if I sign out, I'm gonna.
But maybe it'll be okay as we go forward.
Okay. So, Cabot made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Hodge, second. Any discussion?
yeah, one thing here, and before I think it was listed this way, but in any case, we have food, fun, and fellowship on there. I think perhaps that should just be because that's what everybody calls it now. It's just Food Services Committee.
I think that's legit. I had that same question when I looked at this. We've had to change the template here several times in the last few months. for these groups that we've been adding in here. But in fact, let me confirm that that is now Fun Food and Fellowship now comes under the Food Services Committee. Is that right?
That's been my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I don't think that's wrong. They have a considerable amount balance forward still to now be a part of that food service committee. But again, it was intended for improvements at the lodge. So
Right.
we'll see how that goes. But yeah, we should definitely just turn that into food services. That's the way I'll put it in the next month's sheet.
Yeah, and so this is just something to check is there a food services committee account that shows some money in it? So there may be a question about that. Again, I don't know. I'm just asking what we
Yeah.
discussed at our meeting.
It's not on this sheet. There is not
Okay.
a food services committee per se on this sheet.
Okay.
So I don't know that we have ever had a discussion, and maybe I'm wrong. So, and Annie, maybe you're the person to ask about this, to disband that particular committee. Have we discussed that?
Not that I know of. The committee that previously met hasn't been meeting for quite some time. But that
So-
Food Fund and Fellowship Fund was a sub-fund under Food Services.
So would it be appropriate at this time? Is there a reason we need to leave that committee open, or could we go ahead and, disband that at this point?
I'm not aware of any. Some of the main fundraising that went for that committee was for running events and such, which is what the Food Services Committee is taking over and doing, along with Serena. And then the other piece being the deck at the lodge, which they quit, handling quite a while ago.
So would it be appropriate for us to go ahead and have a motion to change the funds in that committee to the Food Services Committee?
Seems like it, since the Food Services Committee is the committee that's going to be looking to do some of that remodeling that had been discussed that fund was supposed to be for.
So
We
can we
did-
get a
we did-
motion to make that change?
Say that again, Mary Beth.
Can we get a motion to modify or to transfer the funds for Food Fund and Fellowship, $17,178.09, to the Food Services Committee, and to disband that subcommittee?
I'll make that motion.
Doug Parker,
I'll
anybody
second.
second? Cabot seconds. Is there a discussion?
Just one more thing,
oh.
let me note, we did have a carryover request, which the board approved at our last meeting, for funds that were earmarked originally for, well, I will say the Food Services Committee. It was specifically for kitchen renovations. And so that's why I don't think that $17,000 necessarily reflects those funds.
Doug, you mean those do not, that you're saying you think that 17,178 is only the Food Fund and Fellowship, or Fund Food and Fellowship, but that there should be another pot of money for food services that should have been carried over?
Well, I don't know how big a pot it is. It's whatever we asked for as a carryover at a previous meeting. And again, I know specifically what it was for. It was for the kitchen floor and a couple of other items that I'm going to forget that weren't done last year for various reasons. But in any case, that money was, well, we voted to carry it over. So I don't think it's in this, because my understanding, and again, I'm still learning on all of this stuff. My understanding was that $17,000 was the deck fund money.
Yes.
It
Could be
hasn't
wrong.
changed. No, that's
Okay.
I
true.
think
It
you're
hasn't
right.
changed for months. That's
Okay,
the same amount.
just trying to clarify it. I know people have been talking in food service committee meetings. I think I've been to 3 now, but they've been talking about that money and using that as well.
Mhm. Okay.
That money was supposed to be earmarked for renovations.
Right.
For the lodge. Now,
Right.
we believe that there's $17,000 left from the deck fund where we made all the reimbursements to folks that wanted to be reimbursed. So that does not include your carryover then. Your carryover is an addition. That's what you're saying, right, Doug?
I believe so, yes.
And that,
So
that's
we just
substantial.
have to clarify that, that's all.
Yeah, I want to say that amount is around 16,000, isn't it?
Yeah, it was at least 15 for the floor and for the floor in the kitchen, and that got carried over.
It
So
was a sum of money. I do
why
know
don't we
that.
first- let's break this down. Why don't we first deal with making sure the 17,000 gets moved over to the Food Services Committee. Let's do that first. And then it probably isn't going to hurt to leave that food fund and fellowship open for any reason. It doesn't hurt us. But where would this 15,000 be, Cabot?
Do you mean the new floor money?
Yeah.
That's a really interesting question because I don't see a record of that. Long range planning amenities. Do we have anybody connected with that might be able to share some light with us?
Eric's long range planning.
Right.
But I think he just got up and went to get coffee or something.
Well, I
So-
don't know whether is that sitting in an amenities fund money, and maybe that's the question. And again, we were talking about that carryover money, and I believe that was amenities money. Remember, I wasn't on the board then, but I believe that was amenities money.
It was.
Okay,
And we
well,
did vote
we just
to
need to
carry that
clarify
over.
that and find out where those funds are, that's all.
So Cabot, for the next meeting, can you come maybe track that down and let us know what happened there?
Yeah.
And Eric is back now. Maybe he knows.
Eric?
I mean, I heard the whole thing. No, I don't know any more about it.
Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and can we get a motion to transfer the 17,178.09 to food services?
I think we had that motion, didn't we?
We already
By
did
Doug?
that.
Yep.
Seconded by Cabot.
Second by Cabot. More discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that that money will transfer over, and then Cabot will wait to hear from you next meeting about that.
Yes, about the amenities that for this year.
Yes. Well, about the 15,000 carryover for the lodge for the food services from the floor.
Right, to this year, right.
Right, correct.
That's not included, that's not a part of that 17. I got you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you need any help with that, let me know.
Okay.
Well, and Jeff, I think you could help with that. Talk with Penny about that. Because she
I'll be in
knows
there
about
tomorrow.
funds. I'm sorry, what?
I'll be in there tomorrow so I can talk with Penny at that time.
And I'm
also.
looking at the spreadsheet now submitted by Ken, carryover for food service. 2021 carryover funds, $21,573.89.
Okay, cool.
So I have to assume that does not include the money that was originally donated for the
That's outside of the
deck
17.
project.
The deck, yeah.
Yeah, this was to my if I remember Jim Sigafus's comments correctly, it was for the kitchen floor, which was about 18,000, and then general improvements initially. So now it has been reassigned to. I wasn't there at the meeting, so I'm not sure what the purpose was, but I would say
And
lots of
maybe
renovations.
it might not be showing up because we have the amenities vote later in the meeting on the agenda. So perhaps that's why. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you,
Okay.
Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff. Rex Eberly, welcome to being the chair of the management committee. We're happy to have you. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Rex, about a management committee report.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you, and greetings from warm and sunny Las Vegas. Unfortunately, I've been in meetings the whole day and haven't been outside. So first of all, I want to thank you all for the confidence that you've shown both myself and Steve Cundiff in appointing us to chair and vice chair for the management committee, and we really appreciate that. And obviously, we're going to do our best to pay that back to both the board of trustees and the community. Also, Julie Evans has joined us, filling the spot vacated by Jim Sigafus. Her business and financial management experience is going to be a great asset to the committee, and she's already diving into budgets, working on some things, trying to bring more clarity on the budgeting process to the membership, and we expect some great things coming out of there. We really appreciate the time that Jim spent on the committee, and thank him for helping to put Hideaway Hills on a firm financial footing and leaving us as a committee in very good shape. And we've got a good team, and I'm looking forward to the next several months. One thing that we are doing, the management committee is reviewing the possibility of moving to a one meeting per month format. Our official meeting would always be held on the second Tuesday of the month, so we're ready for, we have things lined out for this board of trustees meeting. The fourth Tuesday would be kind of held in reserve for additional work sessions as needed, but we would not hold an official meeting. We're going to talk about that in our next meeting and make a decision, and we'll let you know how we decide there. So, any questions on that? If not, we'll move into, we had some expenditure requests that we've sent on to the Board of Trustees. The first thing we've done is we voted to replace a 2008 Caterpillar backhoe loader with a new Caterpillar backhoe loader for a price of $98,875 after trade-in. That price includes a 4-year extended warranty. We worked through the quotation and the specifications with Rick and the maintenance team, and bids were requested from Caterpillar, Case, JCB, and John Deere. John Deere did not bid. They were never able to, with the supply chain issues, they were never able to come up with a price and a guarantee that they could get us what we needed. So Caterpillar was low. Case was second by 5.6%, and JCB was third by about 21%. Both Cat and Case offered a trade value of our 2008 of $32,000. JCB offered $28,000. So we felt that we had very comparable bids, and would have been happy with the quality of any of three of those units, but we were happy the Cat was the low because our team is familiar with it, and it will be they enjoy running the other Caterpillar equipment. The extended warranty covers powertrain, hydraulic, mechanical, and electronic components for 4 years at a cost less than $6,000. And I can tell you, being in the equipment business, a main hydraulic pump on that unit would go for much more than $6,000. So I think that was a good add to the purchase. Next, we voted. I'm sorry, was there a question?
Oh, does anybody have questions about that while he's on that topic? Okay. Sorry, Rex, go ahead.
No, that's fine. I don't want to move too fast. Next thing is we voted to move forward to purchasing the RFID gate opening hardware and software for $43,660. That's a not to exceed, and a lighter weight barrier gate for the Bora Road Gate for $7,467. Again, total that not to exceed with tax is $54,107.83. Actually, we've our vendor came out earlier in the week and made some adjustments, and that price is lowered a little bit. There may be more adjustments. So right now we're just asking that we move forward on getting items ordered. They already let us know that some of their components have been obsoleted due to supply chain issues, and they're refilling those. They're expecting prices to go up, and so we want to We want to get locked in where we are, even though we don't have exactly every answer on implementation. We we've been working on, or this RFID gate has been worked on for, I believe, about the last 3 years. During our last survey, about 58% of respondents stated that security was extremely important to them, and that was the reason they voted for the increase. So we're happy to be able to provide this to the membership. We're working on an implementation plan that will cover trade-in of current openers, cost of RFID decals, application of decals on member vehicles, and process for managing the web-based access system. And we'll get that rolled out hopefully here within the next couple of weeks. I've sent a draft out to the management committee for review. We also wanted to before we publish that, we wanted to get any concerns and questions that the Board of Trustees may have. The reason we're putting in a different barrier gate at the Bora Hill gate is because of the problems we have with folks sliding down the hill. The slide gate takes several seconds to open, and we've had folks hit that gate because it wasn't opening quick enough. So the plan is normally the slide gate will be used. However, in inclement weather, icy conditions, the slide gate would open, the barrier gate would be lowered. It opens within 2 seconds, and so the signal should hit that gate when a vehicle is about 60 feet from the gate, and if they reach the gate faster than 2 seconds, they've got other problems. So we're hoping that this will that it'll keep the security at that gate, but also increase the safety for people. My
Rex,
goal is to provide. Yeah.
Sorry, I just had one question about that because I know it was a recent issue about when the storm came in, the gate didn't get open fast enough. With the new RFID, the guards will be able to open that gate, correct? Without
Yes.
being okay.
Yes. Thank you. They will be able to open the one and activate the barrier gate or open them for emergency folks or anything like that. So yes.
Any other questions for Rex on that?
I have a question, Rex, real quickly, because some people expressed concerns about the possibility, because it's going to be based internet based, with the power going out or the loss of internet. Would that affect the ability of these gates to work?
No, we ran through that at our management meeting with the vendor, and even though it is web-based, what happens is the controller on the unit, all the information is downloaded to that controller and it's stored in the controller until it needs to be updated. And so if it loses internet connectivity, yes, with the security may not be able to open the gate, but as long as there is electrical power, then the gate will open, because even if there is no internet access.
Have you talked about a generator, perhaps needing a local generator to produce electricity if it goes out?
Well, we have not. We have the same issue right now with the clicker gates. If we lose power, the gates are electrically operated. So that would be,
yeah.
Okay. I mean, yeah.
What he said when I was at the meeting with him, he said they would continue working even when the power was out, but the only thing you couldn't do is you couldn't make changes or modifications to the system while the power was out, like update information and whatnot.
Internet was out, not power.
Oh, internet. I'm sorry. Internet was out.
Yeah, correct.
Any other questions on that?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Tim.
Okay. Another question they had was, of course, with the emergency response, a lot of volunteers that drive their own vehicles in here. I guess they currently have clickers to get through. I'm assuming we would provide them with the necessary sticker to also continue to do that.
That is correct. That is our
Okay.
plan, and that's what we'll put into the implementation plan for approval. But yes, we would continue doing that.
And keep in mind, the back gates are also, as per the bid, equipped with an SOS signal reader. So the fire truck, ambulance, sheriff's vehicle would hit I think it's the whale on the siren, if I'm not mistaken, and that'll actually open the gate as well.
So that means that EMS and et cetera would not have to go to the front gate and have the guards take them to the location necessarily. They can get in the other gates.
Right.
Correct.
And the guards can
Personal
open it.
vehicles, on the other hand, when I was a EMT, I had a siren on my personal vehicle just because it was fun. But personal vehicles, if they're not equipped with a siren, those are the ones I think that we would provide the RFID tags to.
Rex, how is the internet at the gates? Is it a cell phone technology, or are we using Spectrum? How's that working?
I apologize. I cannot quite answer that question. I do know that there is internet to each of them now, and I'll have to get back to you on that.
Well,
I believe it's coax based internet. We haven't upgraded to fiber optic there, and the cameras are generally working at those gates. You know, sometimes slower, sometimes faster, but usually if I pull it up on my screen or I'm down in security, those cameras are working just fine.
And this system does allow, first of all, it allows lots of control of if a member leaves. It's very simple to turn off their tag. Uh, it's it's very simple to add tags. It is expandable if we need to add other gates or other, the system will handle it. It's all web based. There's no extra computer. There's no software management. There is a $100 a month fee for managing the website and keeping the server and all that. And I think I've got other systems in my business that I pay much more than that to do the same thing. So I think that's a very fair fee. Also, that it is set up to, as if we want to add cameras at those gates, or not add, excuse me, but to upgrade those cameras, we can run those through the gate systems, and it makes everything so much easier. So we're going to have quite a bit of capacity here that we don't have now.
Rex,
Would
one
we be
more
able
question.
to add security? Sorry. Rex, would we be able to add security at the boneyard or range eventually if we wanted to? Would we be able to add cameras at the docks if we wanted to?
Well, that would be a little bit. This company can help us do that. It would be a little bit outside of what we'll have at the gates. We could add other gates at other locations, yes.
Okay. Okay. Linda, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did. Right now, I use the Bremen Gate, and I know that half the time there's a non-member car sitting there waiting to get in, and all they do is wait for the gate to open, and they come in behind somebody else. You mentioned earlier, I think these gates open and close much faster, right?
Well, only the new gate that we're going to put at Bora Hill, but
Okay.
the existing gates will open the exact same way.
Okay.
And that is, I understand that is a problem with any type of gate system like this. JJ, our other committee member, has worked on toll roads, and people do it on the toll roads. The only way around that is to put in a double gate system, which not only doubles the price, but I mean, that starts feeling like we're, anyway, I'm not sure we want to go there, but
yeah,
it's difficult. I had that situation happen to me last week, and it's not pleasant. And, but that is going to be a problem. and there's not a good way around that.
So we may just have to educate members on how to handle that situation, because as you'll see in executive session, we have members, doing self-help, trying to keep people from coming in who don't belong here. And, we end up having some confrontations, and there's a lot of people who don't have tags or clickers that think they have a right to be in here and force their way in with yelling and screaming. So we have a problem, and maybe we can try and brainstorm some solutions or education to members that we can deal with that.
Yes. So, I understand that we're wanting to move forward with maybe a few questions that need to be answered, but the questions are not on the system itself. They're not on the hardware. They're not on the software. They're on implementation. And so in order to not slow down this process anymore and to not have additional price increases, that's why we're moving forward with asking for the acceptance of the not to exceed purchase, get those things coming, and because there is a several month lead time, and then as we're doing that, we will get the implementation process worked through. We will communicate that to the membership and make sure that we have a successful implementation.
Okay. Do you want to tell us? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, one of the things I know that raised this issue was all of the clickers that are out there in the universe that we don't know about. And I remember, I think it was Jim Lloyd who estimated 500 to 1,000 clickers maybe. And actually, I had an experience where I'm not going to name names, but two people to repair things. I said, I'll call you in the front gate. And they said, oh, I have a clicker. So we do have a problem.
Yes, we do.
Okay, Rex, do you want to go on to the golf course chemical purchase?
I would like to do that. Yeah, I'd like to run through this and then let you guys do your thing. So we also voted to purchase golf course chemicals for 2022. It is a full suite of chemicals. There are fertilizers, there's weed application, there's stuff to kill bugs. There's also grass seed for the greens. We get some discount on shipping, on freight if we order as a package, and we also have some delayed payment. We could purchase all this stuff separately and still stay well under the 15,000, but it's better. It's a little bit better for the club to do it all in one package. So we're asking for approval to purchase golf course chemicals as a not to exceed $16,900. Steve Cundiff and the golf maintenance team are looking at possibly swapping out the use of some granular chemicals with liquid. The liquid is easier to apply, it works quicker, and it's less expensive. So we're expecting that this price will drop, but we need to get started purchasing because there are items that they're going to need to apply in early March, and we don't want to be late and have a problem with our golf course because we didn't have the proper chemicals. So we're asking for that approval as well. Any questions on that? Okay, last thing, I think it's the last thing, is the 2022 budget. Jeff has produced and the management committee has approved the 2022 budget. I believe you have copies there, and I'm going to give you just a little highlight, and then I'm going to turn it over to Jeff for the details and probably to answer most of the questions. But the 2022 budget, the highlights are it is a full funding of all operations of the club, including a cost of living increase for our employees due to the inflationary pressures they have had, obviously, the same pressures that we all see, but we feel it is important for our employees. And so this does include a small cost of living increase for all employees. It does not only fully fund operations, but fully funds a capital fund transfer of $212,030. It also funds a depreciation transfer of $200,400. And so, and just so you know, we're working to develop some guidance and some member education on what all these funds are, and hope to have those out in February. But basically, capital funds are for large items, normally infrastructure and normally buildings. So a roof, a repairing a building, repairing major items or building, repairing or building, things like that. Depreciation is usually equipment or rolling stock, things that have a shorter lifetime, 10 years, 15 years. And so anyway, those funds allow us to replace or repair items as needed. After putting the depreciation back into the budget, it gives us a positive cash flow of $249,000. And so we're extremely pleased with that budget. It gives us what we need. It gives Jeff and his team what they need to run the club. It allows us to continue to upgrade and repair facilities and equipment. And it gives us some positive cash flow in case inflation keeps rearing its head, or we have we have the dump truck go down, or whatever. It gives us some flexibility, so we're very happy there. Jeff, do you have anything to add on the budget, or you want to go deep into that later on in the meeting?
No, nothing really to add. You'll obviously see an increase in assessments based upon the 5% increase year over year, as well as a handful of new members that we have from the club lot sales that we made. But we came down on new member fees from 2021 because I'm just not sure how sustainable that number was. And Rex kept me honest on that. Dam assessment income, you're going to see is 0 because that is now defunct. I just did not have the wherewithal to remove it. I tried once and everything went to #value, so I just didn't have the patience at the time. You'll see golf clubhouse income at 240,000, right about what it was at this year, and then restaurant income at 310,000, which if we had been open all year long in 2021, then we would have hit about 295 to 300,000 there. So with the advent of new events and the food service committee bringing on theme nights and that kind of thing, I think they can increase that another $15,000 without any trouble. As last year, restaurant and clubhouse gratuity income, we zero out. It's something that we actually do account for on the P&L, but it's an in and out. There's really no reason to ever have a budget for that in my mind. And those are the big numbers here. I said I didn't have anything to add and took 3 minutes of your time, so I'm open to questions.
No questions?
Okay, so again, we will get, I would like to post the budget, the capital fund, and the depreciation fund, along with explanations on the website. We need to do a few things to clean that up and make it easier for folks, including us in the management committee, to understand, and Julie is looking at doing that. And again, for the membership, we hope to have that out within the first couple of weeks of February, and so they can review that as well. Last thing is, and I think you'll touch on, is GM search activities have begun. Ads have been posted on various job search boards. We're forming a review committee. Chaz and I have been working on that. Unfortunately, we're a little delayed with him being under the weather, but we are getting resumes, and some very good resumes coming in. And our goal, it's going to be difficult, but our goal is to have a new GM on board by February 15. So they've got a couple weeks to shadow Jeff and learn all the great things he's been doing. So that is my report. I hope that gave you what you needed, and I'd like some down the line. Let me know if it was too long or not long enough. And thank you very much.
Rex,
Thank
are
you,
you
Rex.
able to stay with us for, I know you've got to hop off, you've got another meeting, but can you stay with us while we vote on these items? Do you
I
have?
do. I've got a little more than 30 minutes. So yeah.
Okay. All right, why don't we go ahead and just address those now while you're on here in case there's any further discussion. So can we get a motion to approve of management moving forward with the backhoe purchase?
I'll make that motion.
Any second?
Second.
Doug Parker, second. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Let's move on to RFID. Can we get a motion to allow management to move forward with the RFID purchase, phase 1?
So moved.
Doug Parker. Any second?
I'll second. That was Annie.
Was that Annie? Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Can we get a motion for the golf course chemical purchase not to exceed $16,900?
I'll make that motion.
Lonzinger? Any
I'll-
second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Okay, can we get a motion to approve of management and GM budget proposal?
I'll make that motion.
Cabot,
Give it.
any second?
I'll second.
Hodge seconds. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Thank you, Rex.
Thank you, Rex.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Rex.
Let's go ahead and move on to the general manager's report. Jeff Harper.
All right, so delinquencies are our primary assessment delinquencies as of December 15th, 2021 was $20,750. As of January 18th of 2022, $20,238. It came down just a bit. Road delinquencies as of 12/15/21 is 2,520. And road delinquencies as of January 18th, 2022 is 2,580. Lodge and Clubhouse updates for any of you that didn't get to join us this past Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at the Lodge. We now have New York strip steak and salmon on the menu. Had great reviews on both. Salmon is blackened, and the New York strip is just the chef putting that fancy new grill that we got him to work. This week we've got trivia night with I want to say it's Joe Williams and Corinne Sanford hosting, starting at 7:30 on Thursday. And then next Thursday, I'll send out an email blast tomorrow. Wine dinner featuring Wagner Family of Wines, which is the family that produces Camus, which is very well known, as well as several other brands that are not quite as well known, but they've got some phenomenal wines. We're going to be serving crab cake as an appetizer, caprese salad as a salad, porterhouse steak as the entree, and then creme brulee as dessert. And that is going to be $70 per person. Promise you will leave full. We had some very generous members that were looking to donate some furniture and a rug. So we now have a seating area in the dance floor area of the lodge, credenza, sofa, 2 chairs, and a rug. And it looks great. We had a lot of great comments this past weekend from it. And then financials for the lodge. Bear with me as I shuffle papers, just because this is always a question that I get several times a month. So as of end of November, we do not yet have December's completed financials from the CPA firm. But as of November, and I'll compare it to January through November of 2020, 2020 year to date, end of November, the lodge was at a negative of $63,856, or that is what was being subsidized by the members. Keeping in mind it was closed most of the year. And this year, as of end of November, we are at $65,046. So essentially it's cost, if you look at mostly closed versus mostly open, it's cost about $1,100 to run the thing so far this year.
Wow.
We had budgeted a $121,000 member subsidy as we had just reopened the place. And we'll likely end up, I'd be surprised if we hit 85,000. I'm actually forecasting like a $78,000 subsidy this year.
Excellent.
Okay. That is it for the lodge. Let me roll right into the clubhouse financials. Chris is managing to eke out a profit so far this year. $6.34 worth of profit just in November. But we are currently at a profit, or I don't know what do we call that, a reverse subsidy, money going into the operating account of $2,065.04. Previous year, 2020, was $27,907.93 needing to be subsidized by the membership. So both places are doing, I started looking at financials going backwards, and both places are doing better than they have financially all the way back to 2012. And I just got sick of looking, I was getting cross-eyed. And then I think everybody knows we've sent a few email blasts out about, due to staff availability at the clubhouse, we've had to adjust the hours. Monday currently is opening at 3 p.m. And then 10 to 8, Tuesday through Saturday, closed on Sunday. So we'll look at getting Monday open for lunchtime as soon as we can get additional staff on board, and that is in the works. And then some questions on lodger, clubhouse, or delinquencies. I've got a couple more things, but those were the big ones. Okay. Overall updates, I mentioned in the management committee meeting earlier this month that we've got our new phone system in place that had been being worked on for 18 months, 20 months through Spectrum. They're all working great except for security, which is obviously problematic as it comes to packages, as it comes to emergencies. Spectrum is working on that. They've finally got somebody out today that believes the issue is actually between the security office and the hub in Lancaster. So they're trying to work on that. I've given them until Friday and told them if they can't get it fixed, we'll just go back to an analog line at security. But in the meantime, we had Steve Cundiff has donated a cell phone to security. That number was e-blasted out late last week sometime. So if the phones aren't working in the office, which they were as of the time I left today, then use the cell phone. Okay. Do keep in mind that they can only get one call at a time on it. We just had them get a flip phone. So you may end up needing to call back if they're on the phone with somebody else. And then our package average over the holidays, the 3 weeks before the holiday, we were at over 1,100 packages per week for each of those 3 weeks. And now we're back down to about the usual average of between 500 and 550 a week. That's all I've got.
Would it be helpful, do you think, to put the phone number for the cell in the Echo or another e-blast? I'm just wondering if that's going to be a long-term or short-term thing.
I think we're gonna, at this point, I think we're gonna always have it as backup. I actually got the monthly fee into the budget. So I would expect that we'll always have it as backup. I just think it's a good idea. And I'm not sure, frankly, that, even if Spectrum does get their act together and get that thing working consistently, I'm not sure we shouldn't install an analog line there as backup as well, because VoIP systems are always going to be internet dependent to an extent. So
Okay,
Jeff,
so
is there a way to, over the web or whatever, to be able to forward those VoIP phones to the analog or to the cell phone? For when we are having these kinds of problems?
good point. Let me find out. I believe, I know I can transfer to an outside number. I don't know if I can auto bounce it to an outside number, but we'll find out. That's a good question.
Yeah.
okay, any other questions for Jeff? All right, we'll move on to committee business and reports in no particular order. Doug Parker, you want to go first?
Yeah, just a few quick things. The Food Services Committee met this month. Just a couple of things that we chatted about. Obviously, there are a number of new people there. And we've talked again briefly about the whole notion of renovations to the lodge. And talking about that carryover money and so forth. But the bottom line is that committee has to make some decisions on priorities for that stuff. And I think it's best left to get our new staff members settled in first before we get on that. But we're meeting regularly, and we have a good number of members, club members, just not staff members, but club members involved with that now. And we're trying to get a few more, and probably at least a couple will have off of the, and forgive me for the name, forgetting the name of that project that the Utilities Committee did, but we got a couple of people with the design sort of background that are interested in working with that committee as well. So we're broadening it a little bit, I think. So the priorities things is going to be a question, so stay tuned on that one. The other thing is, what are my notes here? Oh yeah, the other thing that has kind of, because we talked a little bit about marketing and advertising, and some of the ads we have and haven't purchased, or ones we used to purchase and now no longer do, and so forth. And some of the other ads, there has been, I understand, some questions about them. One of the questions, and I'm not throwing this out for a vote or anything at this point, but I brought it up to a few people, a couple of board members. I know I mentioned it too in passing. But as I think some of you or most of you will probably remember, we previously, at least when I was on the board for 7 years, we often talked about the fact that we let outside folks come into the lodge to dine. That was a pretty standard practice. We went through a lot of iterations on that and how it worked and how it didn't work and so forth. And sometimes it worked better than other times. But the bottom line is, when we started talking about trying to get more money into the lodge, that's how that came to be. So a number of people have actually asked me, longer time members said, did we change that? And I said, I don't know. I'm going to have to ask. I suspect we did last year. And I wasn't again on the board at that time. I know Jeff mentioned it because I listened to the management committee the other night, and Jeff mentioned specifically that we don't have people coming in from the outside. But those questions have been asked again, not only at the Food Services Committee meeting, but also a couple of members have pulled me aside and said, hey, what are we doing on that? And how does that relate to the gates and the new gates and the old gates and all of that? And so I try to give people a few history lessons on how that's played out in the past, but I'm not asking anybody to do anything at this time, but I suspect it's something, well, that people want to discuss at the very least. So I'm putting that out there, especially as it relates to advertising and marketing and what's going on outside the gates. As you know, there are a few people that are coming down here to visit, and more and more and more. And I keep hearing more about that. So that's enough of that. Quickly on the Lakes Committee, The Lakes Enhancement Committee, I guess Rex isn't here, but the Lakes Enhancement Committee, which has existed for a while, is going to continue to exist as an ad hoc committee under the Lakes Committee. I know that I think, Jeff, you may be involved in this too. I think it's on the 24th of this month. There's a meeting with Sue Pyle and probably Rick and you, and I think Rex. That's basically a Lakes Enhancement Committee meeting. So we're still talking about dredging, infrastructure, and all of that kind of stuff, and silt dams and carryover monies and so forth. So again, stay tuned because that's always going to be a work in progress. The Candles fundraiser, if you're interested, raised $513.60. Pontoon boat launch is now booked for April 23rd of this year. You may have heard about the fish stocking. That is done. That was $1,800 worth of fishies that went into, I believe, just Lake of the Four Seasons and Lake Eagle Claw, if I'm not mistaken. And Lakes Committee is gearing up for a number of activities too, but there are no meetings normally planned for Lakes Committee in January and February, just as an FYI. So that's it. Thank you.
Doug Parker, do you remember if we voted on that April 23rd pontoon launch day already?
I understand it's on the office calendar.
So we probably did then.
I'm pretty
Okay.
sure we did
I'm not
last
gonna-
year before the election.
Yeah, probably did, but I'm not going to swear to that. So, or swear at it.
And Jeff Harper, did you want to speak briefly about the new members coming in, or do you want to just let that go for now?
About the new members or non-members?
Non-members.
About non-members coming in?
Again,
Because I
sure,
know that was
sure.
raised to me.
It's
so-
been a discussion point at this point.
Well,
So,
good. I've honestly been trying to make it a discussion point for quite some time, but I
No.
think nobody's really wanted to get into the controversy. So,
okay.
two things. First of all, I got a text message from JJ, and his ears were burning, I guess. The carryover was, Linda, you were right, $16,000 for the kitchen floor is what it was set aside for last year, and then $5,573.78 that were there just for general improvements, remodel. So that has all now been combined into that 21,000 and some change for 2022. And the good news is we don't need a new kitchen floor. It just needed to be cleaned.
Yeah.
We've got one little section of glue down tile that Rick's going to be replacing, but that'll cost us all about $200. As far as non-members coming in, that is something that I gotta remember during the interview process, even that we talked to an extent about that. And is something that I've talked about with management committee. We brought it up at board meetings a couple of times, or to board members a couple of times. Currently, we are not letting people from the outside in. If we wanted to take the lodge to the next level, I think it would be the right thing to do. And when I say the next level, I mean the next level financially. When we reopened and got out on Facebook that we had been closed and were reopening as a full service restaurant and introduced Aaron the chef and so on, we had all sorts of responses on Facebook asking if we were open to the public by non-members, as well as several calls. I would say at least 3, 4, 5 a month. So I think with a little bit of advertising, with a little bit of a few postings on Facebook, maybe even a few phone calls if we still have some of those phone numbers, we could start getting people from outside in the door. Couple of challenges that would pose, and that is, first of all, do we have the staffing for it? Okay. And if not on weekends, then is it something we could do just on Wednesdays and Thursdays, open that up on Wednesdays and Thursdays? But also we run a relatively high cost of food and beverage compared to most restaurants because our pricing is, we'll just call it member pricing. It's lower than what you would charge at a restaurant in most cases. So we would, what I would suggest then is that we think about street pricing, if you will, or non-member pricing, and let that be the price on the menus, and then the members receive a significant discount to get it down close to what the member pricing would be. You know, you can do 20%, 25%, just depends on the different items. I would have to check into the legality of that as far as beer, wine, and liquor is concerned, because I don't know if you can, like in Texas, you can't have two different prices for two different people on liquor, regardless of member, non-member, or whatever. Everybody's got to be paying the same thing. But at minimum, that's something that we could do on food if we chose to pull the trigger on that. Serena's on board with it. She, that was actually part of her interview process was, she had asked if we were open, and if not, why not, if we were open to outside members. If we were to do that, I would strongly recommend not using the Bremen Gate as an entrance again. I think every one of them should be screened by security. And we're as evidenced by the financials year to date this year at the lodge, we're not so desperate that we need to allow anybody and everybody in. I think we could have them screened at security, give the proper pass, follow the procedure to make sure that they're actually getting up to the lodge, and then when they leave the lodge, that they're actually getting back down to the front gate.
So it sounds like between you and management, at some point, you guys decided we're not doing that. We're not having outside right now, and you're open to reviewing that in the future. Is that accurate?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would recommend it. I think it's the next level for the lodge. We've got a good chef. We've now got a solid front of house manager that can oversee both operations. I think it's the way to go. But again, I know there are many members, or several members, I guess I should say, that are also against it,
Right.
because they see it as a security risk. So at this point, it hasn't been necessary, and I think honestly, it's been a good test this year to see what we can do just with members and their guests coming into the lodge. But again, if at some point y'all want to take it to the next level, and I think that is the next level.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. Anybody else have any comments on that topic? Okay. Cabot. Can't hear you, Cabot.
Yeah, well, they're checking 1, 2, check. Don't have a whole lot to report here. A couple of things though. I think Tim Weibel is going to take back over with the golf committee as the board rep. Just a couple of quick things. The committee passed a few minor changes to rules out at the golf course, and a couple of deletions, and they are going to appear in the next 2 echoes per is our procedure before they would go into effect. So you should see the first ones here in February coming up. Also, Eric Boysko let me know that membership needs to be on the lookout for a golf course survey that should be e-blasted to the members and show them how to participate in this survey within the next week. So look for that in your email, a survey about the golf course. And really, that's all I have.
Okay. And so did you cover Tim's for this month, Cabot?
Well, yeah, I mean, right up till about, am I still covering for you, Tim, or are you back with us?
I'm going to be back on. And thank you very much too, Cabot.
Yeah.
No problem.
Thanks, Cabot. So Tim, you don't have anything to report today, correct?
Not for the golf. I do have an ORV report.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. No, they did quite a bit of work down at the track earlier this fall, and not being a dirt track guy myself, I don't know that much about it, but I guess it looks very much nicer than it has. I am asking for a reimbursement vote to reimburse John Lee $381.85 from the ORV committee for tractor supplies and additional track repair that was done. So I'd like to.
What was that amount, Tim?
$381.85.
Okay.
This was John Lee, did you say?
John Lee, who is also the head of the ORV committee. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so you're making a motion to reimburse John Lee $381.85 for tractor repair.
supplies and actual track repair, yes.
Track repairs. Okay, track repairs and supplies. Okay, anyone want to second that motion?
I will.
I'll second.
Lonzinger seconds. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Anything else, Tim?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, Eric?
Okay, all I got is activities for youth. They want to get started with getting the dam jam approved. We're on the schedule. And so I'd like to make a motion that we allow the activities for youth to have the dam jam on June 25th, 2022, as well as approve $240 for a deposit for the DJ.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Do you have a time on that, Eric?
I do not. That right
Okay.
now it's just they're just
Clear.
holding the dam.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Anything else, Eric?
Yeah, just a general comment. I've noticed that Ladies' Night has been out there. It's been put out there by our e-blast. It's in our Echo. What committee does that fall under?
Social.
It is social, so it's on. Okay, I was not aware of that.
Yeah. It used to be under none, but one of our members requested it be tied to a committee. So it got tied to social committee.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else on any questions on Eric's stuff? Okay. Hodge.
Nothing really on communications.
Okay.
Unless,
Chaz has nothing from tennis and on health and wellness, just that they're rocking and rolling and getting ready to get things moving. So that's pretty much it on health and wellness. My committees, I don't have anything to report. Linda Lonzinger.
Coming up, I'll be speaking to the group about the ACC changes, but other than that, no.
Okay, Annie.
Yeah, the social committee wanted to thank everyone for attending the tour of homes in December, and a special thanks to all of those who were on the tour and opened their homes to the members to come in and celebrate the holidays with them. Second, just a reminder, they are getting ready to have a merch madness sale. So look for an upcoming e-blast about another merchandise sale. They're coordinating that obviously with March Madness to try to, be clever. So that's social committee. Organic garden. So they're in the midst of planning for their 2022 growing season, and the really only update is that they will have a few spots opening up in the spring, and that just to look for an upcoming announcement about that.
Okay, thank you. Did I miss anybody or any reports from anyone? Any fund requests that we didn't address? Okay, moving on. Open forum. Linda, do we have anybody signed up for open forum?
we did. We had Stephanie Wolf.
Okay. Is she the only one?
Yes, she's the only one.
Stephanie, are you here with us? Stephanie? Calling once.
I was just checking real quick to see if I told her she'd requested this afternoon. I told her she was on, but I'll see if she sent any email back.
I see a Stephanie on there that's muted right now. Is she muted by you, Jeff?
No, I actually just sent her an unmute request, which just gives her a little
Okay.
signal, but
It looks like she's still muted.
Yep.
Okay, maybe she stepped away from the meeting for now. If so, Okay, well, we'll keep on, and Stephanie appears. We'll give her a couple minutes to talk with us. Reaffirm the e-votes. Okay, you guys, these e-votes are from November through January. So there was a boatload. So it's going to take me a minute to read through these. Let me start with the 8 yes, 8 yes, and 0 no's, 0 abstain. On 11/17, reimburse Mike Adams $146.01, Angie Ryan 43.22, and Mary Kay Banfield $15.76 for food supplies from Boo at the Barn. 11/22, reimburse Patrick Connor for pontoon self-storage fee. 11/28, e-vote 250 out of chapel committee funds to pay 125 to Lydia Sander for piano playing and 125 to Brad Donahue for speaking at the Christmas Eve service. 11/29, for payment of 1801 to 1,801 to Fender's Fish and Hatchery for stocking of Lake of Four Season and Eagle Claw. 12/10, e-vote to follow recommendation of legal counsel regarding pending legal action with former Hideaway member. 12/13, reimburse Kelsey Witt $230 for Columbus Humane Society cat welfare and value vet for capture and spay of feral cats. 12/14, open and fill the open management seat with Julie Evans. 12/14, you know what? I have Kelsey's on there twice, so I'm going to delete the second time on the written document that was sent out. On 12/16, pay health and wellness funds for the Menards bill for $2,468.17 for miscellaneous expenses. On 12/17, reimburse Greg Patassin $42.66 from organic garden funds for replacement of Christmas lights at the front entrance. On 12/27, social committee to pay new member committee $350 for working for the home tour ticket sales. On January 10th, new member committee to move game night social from the clubhouse from the dates of February 5th to March 5th, 2022. On January 11th, 22, health and wellness to pay $203.85 for tile supplies for the bathroom. On January 13, 22, to pay up to $500 from barn funds to Todd Cahoe for work on their fencing. On 11/17/21, to create a subcommittee in utility services to hold donations for security cameras, and the vote was 7 yes, 1 no. On 11/28, to pay from health and wellness funds the invoice for Buckeye Metal for ceiling materials for $3,208.41. The vote was 7 yes. On 12/10, the board voted for Rex Eberly as management of the chair. Rex Eberly as management chairperson. And that was 7 yes, 1 no. On 12/10, the board voted for Steve Cundiff as vice chair of management committee. And the vote was 7 yes. On 12/11, the board reviewed and approved 2 members of our management committee to continue on management. Regarding Marty Bendokas, the vote was 6 yes, 1 abstain. Regarding Steve Cundiff, the vote was 7 yes. On 12/13, pay Allison Kelly $276 from range funds for t-shirts and hats. The vote was 7 yes. On 12/29, to approve the club providing $100 for employees who can prove that employee had the first and second vaccine or the first J&J vaccine. The vote was 7 yes, 1 no. On January 14, the Lakes Fund to pay $2,562.50 for 2 element engineering study on the silt pond The vote was 7 yes. That's it on the e-votes. So I would make a motion to delete the repeat on 12/14 about reimbursing Kelsey Witt $230 for the Columbus Humane Society Cat Welfare and Value Vet for capturing and spaying of feral cats. I have that on there twice. I'd ask that we remove that and otherwise approve the e-votes. Any second?
I'll second.
Second.
Tim Weigel, second. Any comments, discussion?
Yeah, I do. The e-vote that you have on your list for the $100 for vaccinations was never an e-vote. It was proposed by Chaz, who doesn't have the ability to make a motion, and people made their comments, and then all of a sudden I'm seeing that it's an e-vote. So I don't know why that's under the e-votes. I thought there would have more discussion about that, but
Okay. So Eric, I asked that question of Chaz, and he had understood he had the authority to send an e-vote, and everyone voted on that.
it doesn't have the authority to make a motion as president.
Well, he was asking for an e-vote. I made the motion, the e-votes are approved, right? So he's not moving that happen. He's asking for a vote on it.
Well, I pulled up I realized that this is going to pass anyways. I'm just from a procedural perspective, we did not do it properly. Chaz put out what he wanted to, his reasoning for doing the $100. Everybody kind of responded, and that was it. There was never anything official that says we want an e-vote to do this.
Okay.
I assume we'd
Well,
have more discussion
maybe-
about it.
Do you think we could clean it up by just having a vote now? Would that be helpful?
I think that's probably what we should do.
Okay, so I'll make the motion that we pass that our employees who prove they were vaccinated by a first and second vaccine of Pfizer or Moderna or the J&J, they receive the $100.
Mary Beth, as acting chair, I don't think you can make that motion.
Oh, you're right. You're right, Annie. Sorry about that. Anybody else want to do that?
Sure, I'll make the motion. So I'll make the motion that we approve the club providing $100 for employees who can prove that that employee has had the first and second vaccine for Pfizer or Moderna or the J&J.
Any second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Well, I just like to point out, I don't agree with this. I think that anybody who would have wanted to get the vaccine would have done it already. And this is really just handing out bonuses to people that have gone and gotten the vaccine. I don't think this is going to change anybody's mind at this stage. Oh, Jesus, $100 out there. Let me go get the vaccination. So I don't think this is a good use of our funds.
I don't know, Eric. It actually worked in the state of Ohio pretty well when they entered the lottery, when they had the lottery. And there were, I can't remember how many thousands of people got vaccinated just to get their name, or those who had already been vaccinated to get their name in the lottery. It did seem to incent people to do that.
The other issue is that we've already experienced the lodge being shut down because of an employee with it. And that's something that this can't hurt, but help potentially to improve the odds of that happening again. That I think that justifies it right there. We've already seen the lodge can close because of that.
Do you feel it hurts something, Eric?
I just don't think, I don't know how much money we're going to spend on this, but I just think that, our job is to be the fiduciaries of Hideaway, and just don't see us spending this money. I don't think is going to encourage anybody to get a vaccine that hasn't already done it. The time to have done it would have been, I don't know, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, not now.
But it's good to leave that as an open possibility of encouragement.
But it also is done pretty commonly nationwide in companies. It's not uncommon at all.
It's very common, actually, in companies.
Well, my comment is if we can save one hospitalization from paying for that from our insurance with an employee, we've already more than gotten our money's worth for anyone who would be getting this $100 bonus. So
We are
a
self-insured.
hospitalization costs a heck of a lot more than maybe $2,000 or however much we would be paying out. So, I think that it's well worth our money. I support it.
Anybody else have comments at all? All right, let's go ahead and vote. All in favor?
Aye.
I,
All opposed?
Nay.
Okay, so motion passes. So I think Annie's right. I can't really make a motion that the e-votes pass, but if somebody else could do it, and we'll delete the e-vote about the vaccine, and we'll delete the duplicate on here regarding Kelsey Witt. Can someone make that motion to accept the e-votes with those two modifications?
I'd like to make the motion, Mary Beth, that
Okay.
we accept the e-votes along with the two modifications that were offered and agreed to.
Anybody second?
second.
Okay, Doug, all in
Yes.
favor?
Aye.
I,
All opposed? Okay, e-votes are approved. Moving on to new business topics. Jeff, I don't know if you had anything to add on the GM search. We already sort of touched on that. Do you have anything additional?
No, we've seen probably of all the resumes we've got in, probably between 8 and a dozen that are pretty solid with either country club background, community management background, hotel background. We've posted in 3 different locations, Indeed, LinkedIn, and then a site called H Careers, which is hospitality specific, and had probably an equal number of qualified folks from each one. H Careers is the only one that cost us. The other 2 were doing the free ads, but still getting folks from all over this part of the country. And
Okay.
a couple from out of the country.
Oh, interesting. Okay. All right. Thank you, Jeff. Anybody have any comments or questions on the GM search at all? All right. Committee ad hoc group. We had discussed previously looking into as a board sort of some standards and procedures for committees at Hideaway Hills. And I know Annie started working on that, I think with the help of a former board member and other members and asking around. And so since she was gathering information sort of ahead of the ball game, Chaz asked if Annie would go ahead and lead up that ad hoc committee. Annie, do you want to sort of just touch base on that real quick on where you're at?
Sure. Yeah. As you mentioned, I had some conversations with Greg Patassin and Dee Dee Parker. They're the 2 committee chairs that I represent in terms of board representation. And so we've had some discussions about the information in the elicitation that they did with some of the other committee chairs. And so we're working to form this small team that is going to work on creating these guidelines that we currently don't have. We really want to work in a little more agile fashion if possible, so that if possible, as we create some of these processes, that we might look to implement them rather than to define the whole big kit and caboodle and release it as one big bang. So you may hear from us in bits and pieces on updates that we're recommending. But we'll prioritize that work based upon what we see as the areas that have the biggest need.
And I assume at some point when you guys are ready to move, you have your committee formed, would we ask committees then to reach out to you if they think their committee should have some specific to their committee guidelines that might be different than other committees?
Yes, they can certainly do that in the meantime. Ultimately, though, my goal would be for us to pull in all the committee chairs and talk through a recommendation.
Okay. All right, good. Well, thanks for being willing to do that. Appreciate it. Anybody have questions about that for right now? All right, moving on. We have a big agenda. Eric Lapp, you had asked that we look over the amenity fund distribution and vote on that. And Chaz wanted to bring it to the group to discuss. I don't know if there's anything you want to say about it, Eric, before we talk about it.
Well, I'll introduce it. It's the amenity fund, the long range planning put together the meeting in December. All the committee chairs got together and divvied up, I got to pull it up. I think it's $80,451 that came from the new member fees. And I sent that list out to everybody today to have a review. I guess maybe what I'll just start with, I'll make a motion to approve those funds, and then we can take it from there.
Anybody want to second the motion?
I'll second it.
I'm not sure who that was. Cabot,
Cabot.
was that you?
It's fine.
Okay, Cabot second. Is there a discussion?
I just have a quick question. Since we capped the amenities distribution at 75K, where did the extra 5K come from?
It is my understanding that was funds that were not used last year.
Okay, and
So
they
they
weren't requested to be
rolled over.
rolled over, so they're,
Yes.
okay, gotcha. Thank you.
I had that same question, and Penny did confirm what Eric just said. The reason that Chaz and I wanted to bring this up to the group was this reason. We got a message from Ken Yost, who runs this group, and it was an unusual request that someone asked for event money to be included as an amenity distribution. So apparently amenity funds do not normally include event money in it. The new member committee throws an event annually, and I think they got approval that the club, because it's for new members coming into the club and it costs maybe a total of $1,500 a year, Sigafus and Chaz, and I don't know if they talked to you about this, Jeff Harper, but that the club would pay for that annually for the new member committee, because they felt like that was a Hideaway Hills function for everybody, the new members coming in. The lodge asked for 6,000, and it looks like 3,000 got allocated to them for fundraising events. I spoke with JJ about this because he's the management lead on food services. And what he explained to me, and Doug Parker, maybe you'll want to talk a little bit about this, I don't know, but he said that is more like if they want to have a comedian, they want to be able to have that function, and they're not fundraising from outside things anymore. The Fun, Food, and Fellowship used to do fundraising for things like that, but that group's not really active right now. So he thought those monies would be sort of revolving. So they'd have a function. They either might pass a hat at some of them, or at others, there might be a surplus from a raffle or something like that, and it would help add into this fund. And it is a nice idea to have functions there at the lodge for all of our members and not have to buy tickets for them, for instance, to attend. So he didn't want to create something that was going to cause problems for us in the future with other committees. I thought maybe one way we might want to deal with it is say we'll allow some event money for our lodge and or clubhouse under very tight scrutiny and only for food services, if the board wanted that. I just sort of guess we want to see what you guys think about that, and if you foresee that could be a problem in the future.
I think it could be a problem in the future. Just different committees saying, well, they're going and getting money for this type of party. And I mean, I could see activities for youth saying, well, geez, why don't we ask for $5,000 for the next Dam Jam? So I don't think that was what the amenities money was meant for. And on the same side, I'll say, well, geez, I know food services kind of needs some seed money to get things rolling, to get events planned and so forth. So I'm kind of speaking out of both sides of my mouth on that. I'm just concerned that the snowball effect would have happened, and everybody's going to start asking for party funds instead of for amenity funds for projects and so forth to improve the amenities here. I know I didn't really probably shed a lot of light on anything, but
How's everybody else feel about it?
I see Eric's point, and I do think that this would, if we were to go forward with something like this, it would have to be so iron tight, and I don't know if it can be, that, you know, this is something that is being used as a central bring together, anybody's welcome, lodge, clubhouse, whatever it might be, kind of event that they don't have to raise money for or charge for tickets, like you said. But it would have to really be ironclad in terms of, because I could understand how other committees might, you know,
Yeah.
have an issue with it. New members, though, that's like a welcoming, you know, welcome to the neighborhood, welcome to the community. To me, that's kind of, I think that's kind of a thing all its own. It's kind of a different kind of deal. So for that, you know, I could be in favor, but again, we'd have to make sure that we address any potential problem.
The
I
other
was
thing
always in
JJ
favor of the
mentioned-
new member. Go ahead.
Sorry, Eric, sorry about that. The other thing JJ said that I forgot to mention is he pointed out a lot of our really generous Hideaway Hills members end up sponsoring these things over and over and over, sort of get tapped into, you know, having to sponsor events because they don't have the money elsewhere. And it was sort of, you know, to try and also alleviate some of that, you know, constant calling those members and saying, will you sponsor this and this and this? And we know the names, you know, you see the names out there repeatedly of those generous folks.
I was always kind of behind the new member fee, because the new members are really the ones paying for it. It's got those fees are what, you know, what their initiation fee is what pays for that. And I think we probably could go forward and accept this with the food committee, and just know that going forward we're not going to it's got to be an improvement and an amenity, and say that this is kind of it. And I guess as board members next year, we got to remember that and kind of pass that on. But I'd like to see the lodge. I'd like to see them have some seed money to put some events together and get things rolling up there and try to get things back the way it used to be.
So is everybody on board with approving it this year the way it is and saying going forward, new members events will be paid for by the club, and that other events are there's fundraisers for them?
Do you think we need to get a little more definitive about what new member events mean?
Well, maybe we say up to 1,500 of new member receptions. They have 2 receptions a year generally. Up to 1,500, I think, was the number they were talking about. And maybe if it's beyond that, then the new members can earn that money.
That makes sense. I mean, when they're first coming in, they don't even know how to earn money until they get involved in committees. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Well, does anybody else have comments about it? If we do it this year, but not in the future?
I guess I'm kind of questioning whether or not we should establish this at all. I'm just looking at the code, and the only thing the code says about the amenity distribution is that the Long Range Planning Committee shall oversee and work with the committee chairs to determine how the monies are approved. Now, we don't necessarily have any historians on the call right now, but I got to believe that's inferring, since long range planning is involved in it, that it was intended to help with more longer range things.
For the launch.
I tend to agree. I do understand what Eric was saying in terms of seed money, but you know, when you make an exception like this, we need to be really clear that it is an exception and that we don't go back to the well again on this. That's my only concern, because I agree with what you're saying, Annie, and I understand what you're saying too, Eric. So it would need to be a very well-known exception one time. And perhaps the office could help us remember that too.
Is
When you
everybody
say
okay
one
moving
time, though,
forward with it?
yeah,
So we're saying for this year only, we would do this?
that's what we're saying, one time.
That's what I think, anyway.
Well, it's a matter of the board remembering that, right? Because the next board could certainly make their own decisions. It's a matter of some people that are on this particular board remember it next year and the year
Well,
down the road.
and telling Ken Yost, right? We should communicate it to Ken that, I mean,
Yeah.
they all approved this. They all voted on it. They all felt it was okay. For whatever reason, I wasn't there. I don't know if you guys were, but this is what they want. And so if this is what they want, I think probably we should respect that. But if we don't want to start this thing, like Eric said, that everybody wants the event money. So I think we need to tell probably Ken, yeah, we went ahead and did the exception this year, but going forward, we got to leave that out.
And to anybody who has not been to one of those meetings, it is really cool because we have 20 committee chairs, and they have money to divide up, and who's to say whose project is better than the other? Well, those guys do, and they work it out, and they've done that for years now, and it's a neat way that to divide that money up to benefit the community.
Okay, does someone want to make a motion?
I think I did.
Oh, you did, and we got a second. This was discussion. So Eric, was your motion specific? Can you repeat your motion again, just so we know what we're voting on?
My motion was to approve the fund distribution that was provided to us by the Long Range Planning Committee for the amenity funds.
Okay. And do we need to modify it at all to include the exception or not?
I don't think we do, because the next board can make that choice to overrule it if they want to next year, right?
True.
The board has
Yep.
the power. So I think we just let that be known that this is not, we don't want parties to be used with this money. We want it to be for improvements in the community.
Anyone want a second, or did we do a second? We already did that, didn't we?
We did have a second.
Yes.
We had to have discussion. So
I think I seconded that.
all right, thank you. And let's go ahead. Any further discussion? All in favor?
I
Any opposed? All right. The amenity fund distribution is passed. Next on our list is the recording of joinders. It says with clerk of courts, but really we're talking about the recorder's office. And Jeff, maybe you can help out with this. There was some questions raised about when property owners join lots together, 2 lots, 3 lots. Is it Hideaway's policy that those lots, that recording of that joinder, does it go to the recorder's office?
Yeah, it's recorded on a new deed. So yes, it is recorded.
And someone joins after they have purchased the property, and maybe bought the lot next door separately and joined them, you're saying it always goes to the recorder's office for recording?
That's what I'm told.
And does our office take care of that as a procedure, or is it the homeowners that have to do that?
That I don't know. I believe it is the office, and I understand there has been some confusion on this. I think the confusion has to do with joinders versus easement waivers. Easement waivers, we do not record the board's decision to waive an easement. South Central Power's decision to waive an easement does go to the recorder as part of the board approval process. It has to be done before it's presented to the board. But I think those two got mixed up a bit in some recent conversations.
Okay,
Jeff, we might need to check on that again, and maybe they gave me poor information, but in the last, I don't know, 6, 8 months, I joined my 2 lots and I talked to Hocking County Auditor because I still get 2 different bills for real estate for the 2 lots. And I said I joined them together, and the auditor said, "We don't care." This is almost a direct quote. "We don't care what Hideaway Hills does in terms of joining lots. We don't change it. We keep it the way it was." So it occurred to me, if I were to sell, it would look like this is 1 lot, but according to them, it's 2 still.
Oh, it's never been that way with Hocking County. I think Fairfield County took it upon themselves to change that at some point in time, because I can remember a time when Fairfield County produced, well, bills for folks that would cover each individual lot. And I was always told by those folks back in the time, and I've always been told this, like you, Linda, by Hocking County, those joinders are done between the property owner and the club, and we don't have anything to do with it. That's why they never get joined together in Hocking County. I've never seen one work out that way before, and I've looked at a lot of them. So I think there is some confusion, and perhaps it might lie at the feet of somebody in Fairfield County at some point in time when they started aggregating lots together and giving them 1 lot number, as we found out with a recent question and situation here. And I can't tell you when that happened. Not in Hocking County. They're always separate lots.
I think that when this was raised with me, Jeff, it was more, if our office burns down, do we have any documentation on the web or anywhere saved to the cloud that's going to show how lots are held here? So for future assessments and stuff, we'll have a history that's saved and preserved if there's fire or whatever.
It is all scanned into Content Central, which is
Okay.
accessible by Google via our
All right.
network. So
maybe, but for the next meeting, we can take a look and just put it under old business at the next meeting to look for some clarification if we need to talk about this further, and a procedure on, so we have a standard procedure on how joinders are handled somehow, either with the homeowners or with the office. Does that sound okay?
Sure. And Hodge, next time you stop by, we can get Penny and even see a couple of examples. I don't know why Fairfield would be treating it differently than Hocking. Maybe Hocking doesn't look at the recorder's office. I don't know.
Does anybody else have comments about that at all, or we just move it to next month?
I understand what Hodge is saying, and that's what we get also, even though we've joined our lots and done all the appropriate things.
Okay.
So.
All right. Let's keep moving. We got a lot to do. Our attorney actually is sort of on hold for us. He dropped off, but he's going to join back on for our executive session on some issues. So I want to get to him sort of quick. Erosion control problems with construction. Linda Lonsinger, you were going to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I'll keep this brief. We've had a couple instances recently where there has been some problem with a contractor and excavation. The club gets concerned when the excavation could possibly threaten or harm club infrastructure. If that occurs, that is a problem. Interestingly, the problem would then reside with the member to correct. So I guess the takeaway is when members are constructing a new home or whatever, please be aware of what your contractor is doing. Keep a close eye out, monitor, because you may come back to your site and see something you don't want to see. Now, that's not to say that the member wouldn't have the ability to then go to the contractor and seek compensation, but it can be a problem. And we have a lot of difficult areas that we build here in Hideaway Hills, alongside a steep hill, whatever. So please, as members, be aware of your contractor's work. That's all.
So the way that looks from our perspective, if we run into a problem, is our remedy for the members is it's an Article 9, and then it ends in a special assessment to the homeowner, even though it was caused by a contractor. And they then have to go after the contractor, but we go after the homeowner if they're going to affect other people's lots around them or the lake or whatever. So,
yeah.
Okay. All right. Any comments on that? Anybody need to talk about that? All right, moving on. In January, the code requires that our president appoint a nominating committee. He has done so. And the members of that nominating committee, just letting you guys know, Chaz Cross, Cabot Ray, Doug Parker, Julie Evans, and Gordon Vink. So thanks to all of them for agreeing to be on the nominating committee. Any comments on that? Okay. Old business. Okay. Making the audit available for members. Now, you guys, if I remember correctly, we have an accountant that does books monthly for Hideaway Hills. We hired a new accountant to do these books monthly for Hideaway Hills. We also do a biannual audit, which is what we did recently, a biannual audit. So that was just covering the last couple of years. Some members have come into the office and reviewed it, but some have requested that audit. And I think our concern with just sending it out to everybody is, you know, we don't necessarily want the public and our vendors necessarily seeing the money we have or don't have. However, our members should be allowed to see it. And so we're bringing it to the board to ask, how do you want to make that available for members? Rather than Penny have to email it to every person, should we just put it on the website under the password protected portion? Or do you want her having to email it to everybody that calls and wants a copy? Or what are your thoughts about that?
It'd be a lot less stress on Penny if we did, as you mentioned, the password protected thing, giving, although again, we do still have some members that don't get on the internet, right? To be able to find it that way.
It already is available in the office, I believe. So people could they could access it that way if they couldn't get on the internet.
I think the most important thing is that we have it available because we want to be open with this. So if we could put it up on the website, password protected, as well as for those who don't use internet or are not comfortable, they can contact Penny. I think we do all that we can.
Yeah,
that's right.
Are you guys okay with? Is there anybody that feels differently than that? I mean, there's really nothing exciting in there, as we know. That probably the biggest concern they seem to have about the club was regarding, I think, our maybe overseeing on the clubhouse and lodge structure. That was my sort of takeaway, is where they saw the most concerns, and we now have someone overseeing both. But you know, there's nothing too exciting in there, nothing that we certainly need to hide. So if we make it available on the web, and if they don't have internet, they call Penny and she'll make arrangements for them to come see it. Okay, anybody else have comments? Okay, very good. One of the things I did want to mention is there was a concern about, did we have a forensic accounting done? And that came up, you know, in there was discussion about having that versus not having that. I think this is one of the things we get in sort of a catch-22 with here. Forensic accounting was that accountant who did our audit biannually was going to charge another like $2,500, $3,500. So we get in this position where they pretty much didn't see anything terrible going on, anything horrible going on. We have released several items to our community about what happened with the dam deficit, even though people say we haven't. I just watched the video over again today from September, October 2020. It explains all of it in detail to everybody. So I'm not sure how many times we got to keep going over it and over it and over it. But what we did decide, what I talked to Hodge about doing, and I feel bad, it's probably taken hours of her time, is to try and put together a list of the various references to this dam deficit that have been released to our public, whether they've seen it or not. And we can maybe put that list out there that people can refer to. But that one video I watched today, it told the entire thing. How it
So did I. Yeah.
You watched
So
it
did
too?
Yeah.
Told
Mm.
how Linda Lonsinger learned about it. It told what we're going to do about it, how we made it transparent immediately, Linda did, to the public, and where every dollar was spent essentially to get us there. I'm not sure how much more clear you could be, but apparently we have not been clear enough. So I think we should go ahead and put those references out there so anybody who wants to keep going over it again and again can go over it again and again, and we don't have to continue to go over it again and again. But this audit isn't going over that stuff. This audit is nothing exciting, but something our members are entitled to receive. So
We'll do
the
that.
forensic accountant, where we get
I've got the link for the one in which Jim Sigafus goes through. Here's what happened. Here item by item, and here's the details on how much was spent, where it was spent, and 3 proposed remedies. And I did look today, 579 people looked at that, but what, a year and a half ago? So it's a good video
Yeah.
to go back to. So we'll put
maybe
that
they
up.
forgot. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
they forgot that information. But the thing is, I also have referred people to Jim. He was the treasurer. I'm not throwing Jim under the bus. Jim has the real numbers. He was the treasurer. He's the one that put that video together. He knows exactly what happened. And I've said several times to people, if you need more information, he's the right person to call, because this was in 2015, 2016. Most of us were not at all on this board and have no knowledge of this stuff at that time. I mean, Eric might remember it. I think he was on the board back when this was happening. But I don't know that we would have knowledge of any of that. But Jim's in the best position, really. And he does explain it very fully. He talks openly about it in management meetings from back then till now. So I think let's give it to him again, so people can be satisfied. All right. Key initiatives update. Annie Kerrigan.
Thank you. It's been a few months since I've provided any updates, so and we've made some good progress. So I wanted to give you guys an update on where we're at in terms of our technology search. As I mentioned the last time I gave an update, the committee had met with several internal office, maintenance, security staff, and even the ACC to make sure we understood all of the needs that the community had in terms of how we oversee and maintain Hideaway Hills and run it. And so we wanted to first do that. We took that information and used that in this next step to kind of start looking at software solutions that are out there in the market. Hate to say it, but I know a heck of a lot more about HOA software than I ever wanted to know in the past. We also limited what solutions we were looking at based upon some things like, and I know these are a bit techie terms, but we wanted it to be cloud-based, meaning we didn't want to have servers in the office and us maintaining installation of software and things like that. We wanted it to be web-based. Most people access applications now over the web or even via their phone on an app. So we saw mobile app as being a plus. We also didn't want to pick just some rinky-dink solution out there. So we looked to add a couple more criteria, which was, let's make sure they have at least 1,000 users or more. And let's make sure they had a good star rating. So if a solution didn't have very many ratings and they had a 4.9 rating, we still kind of didn't didn't take them into consideration because there wasn't enough data to actually validate their solution. So what have we found? We have actually uncovered there are several solutions out there. There are 4 listed here. I've talked to many, many more that meet much of our needs. Now, what I have listed here as feature is by no means all of our needs. I have a little bit more listed on the next slide, but what you can see is a lot of these solutions will solve the problems we have, even in terms of package handling, which I was thrilled to find. You'll see a few of these have asterisks, and the reason I indicated that is many of these solutions are very configurable, so you can actually create capabilities from existing configuration that would fulfill some of the needs that are listed here. It's just not right out of the box and set up already. So other things that we wanted to consider, and some of these are really nice to have, things that I've seen come up in some of these solutions are things like electronic consent. So if we need to get members to electronically consent to a document, a legal document, we could do that on this tool. Or maybe even having like a community bulletin board where people can post that they're selling things. A lot of that happens on Facebook for us now. Not a big need, but it's a nice to have if we find that kind of stuff. Since we were just talking about publishing an audit on our website behind a password, which is only quasi-secure, what I can tell you is these solutions offer member portals. And those member portals require the member to create a login in order to get access to most of the information. We can even delineate which member groups, we can create groups and say which member groups can see which documents. So there's a lot more flexibility here to put out information that only members of the community should get. We'll still have the ability to put out public-facing information because we need to do that, right? We have club lots that are still being sold, and the lodge we may open up to the community. So that's definitely something we'll still need to do, and all of these solutions can do that. And lastly, I'll mention, we do a lot of communication on email today, which is great. And we still do a lot of communication by calling people. But one nice thing I've seen is a lot of these solutions actually offer texting as well, which I think will be super valuable, particularly in the package handling case. Also very happy to say that of the solutions I've looked at so far, they're not overly expensive. The ones that I was showing you range from about $2,000 a year to $18,000 a year. And if you think about a lot of the manual things we do, just in terms of like managing visitors that come in and out, or handling the packages, or the constant e-blasts that Penny does that aren't like an easy just click a button like it would be in some of these tools, we're going to see a huge efficiency gain. And so a $2,000 to $18,000 annual expenditure is going to be something that we can easily recoup. So finally, I'll just say, like, here's where we're at. Our next steps are really just to finish looking at the last few solutions. I have 2 more that I have scheduled that I want to meet with. From there, I really want to narrow it down to just like 3 to 5 options. And at that point, that's when I want to pull in representatives of those stakeholders I talked about. So the office staff, security, maintenance, ACC, and pull them in and have us all align on the evaluation criteria that we have been looking at, and make sure that we all agree on what features are the most important. And then have that group participate in a second round of reviews in talking to these vendors so that we can jointly come together and make a selection and make a proposal to both the management and the board. So with that, that's my update. Does anybody have any questions?
That's a lot of work. That sounds really, really
you.
promising.
Thank you.
Nice work, Annie.
Thanks. Yeah, like I said, I was happy to find as much as I did. And, one of the vendors I talked to actually does a lot of work with high-rise condos in New York City. So there's definitely a business need out there, and that's why there's so many options. And the good thing is that even though we're a small community and small chips by their standards, we can still benefit from it.
Oh, yeah.
That's well done, Annie. And I don't think people probably, unless you've used a portal like that before, I don't think you can get a real good feeling for what you could actually get out of that. You know, how much information, how easy it is to, you know, even potentially make donations to things that we now write a check to or hand somebody money. That's great.
Awesome. Okay, so will you just continue to report on that as more comes in, essentially?
Yes, more to come.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Annie. Appreciate
Yep.
that.
You're welcome.
Next, we need to vote on the ACC proposed rule changes. Linda Lonsinger, I think you're going to address that.
Yes, and if there are any questions that I need some help with, I believe that Chris Donaldson is also watching. But anyway, these are the proposed ACC changes that were made at the November board meeting. They've been in 2 cycles of the ECHO. They have gone to a club attorney to be reviewed. So we've dotted all of our I's, we've crossed all of our T's. And also want to mention that there had been some discussion, it wasn't part of this, but about changing or looking at the definitions for easements or adding some language. And so we didn't get into all that. Any change here was really related to the shoreline easements that we discussed previously in our November. It's pretty straightforward.
Okay, so this does not deal with the private easement issue, only the shoreline.
It does not.
Okay, are you making a motion?
Well, I would like to make a motion that we finally accept these changes that were initially brought to the board in November of 2021 and have gone through 2 cycles of the ECHO.
Would anyone like to second that?
I'll second that.
Doug Parker, any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, those changes have passed. And I think they'll probably have more coming up, the ACC, that they're, as they work through the building code that hasn't been modified in eons. So next on the list, new members, Linda Hodge.
All right. I can't see very well tonight, and there are some tough names, so I will apologize ahead of time of butchering names. We had no club lots sold this month, and new members are John and Emily Shriver and Sean and Lisa Kirkhonen. They're co-owners of lot 686. Joel and Linda Frommeyer, lots 430, 431, 432. Terry Kuhn, lots 172, or I'm sorry, 1972, 1973, and 1974. Colin and Elizabeth Flaherty, lots 485, 486. Timothy Gall and Santee Duell, lots 145 and 146. Amy and Randy Page, lot 1873. Brian and Amanda Meeks, lots 1226, 1227, 1228, and 1229. And Norman Bertkey and Tiffany Bannister Bertkey, lots 1168, 1169, and 1170. So a lot of new members.
Wow,
a lot
welcome.
of new members. Yeah. Welcome. And I moved that we approve the new members.
Any second?
I'll second.
Tim Weibel, second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, new members are approved. All right, can we get a motion to adjourn to executive session?
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
Lonsinger,
I'll second. It's Annie.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're going to adjourn and maybe take a 5-minute break, and our attorney should be joining us here for that.
And we are recording.
Okay, so we're back in open session, and this is just a summary of our executive session. We had a former member voluntarily dismiss his legal action, and we just updated on that. The GM provided an update on a former Article 9 where the member has not improved their property, so will continue to get warnings and may result in another Article 9. Regarding the altercations at the gate, we are going to ask one of the individuals involved to submit an incident report so we can understand both sides of the story. And we're going to send a warning letter to a person who came through with no sticker on their vehicle and telling them they'll receive a fine next time if it happens again. We're going to request security's input on how to deal with people at these gates where others are entering by tailgating, so we can eliminate members being at risk or any confrontations occurring. And with regards to the range, we have voted to ask or to reinstate Dwayne Mickey as chairperson, to reinstate Michelle Winship as a range safety officer, and ask Jim Hiles to remain as chief range officer, and to send a letter to the range committee explaining our findings and conclusion. And we need to do some follow-up with the sheriff's office and some other aspects of the investigation. So we're going to do that, and we'll continue that at hopefully the next meeting. Can I get a motion to adjourn our meeting today? You're on mute, Cabot.
I'll make that motion.
Cabot is making the motion. It's 11:05. Anybody want to second that?
I'll second that.
Linda Lonzinger, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.